What's up, degenerates? It's halftime of TNF. You know what that means. This is over Underdogs, and we have a new intro video that I was so happy to introduce. It looks good. This is the show where we pick player props on Underdog Fantasies PickEm. If you want to play along with us, use promo code NONSENSE for a bonus. As per usual, I'm your host, Mason Cameron, at PFF_Mace on Twitter. And always with me, my partner in crime, Vishaal Gupta, at Vishaal_Gupta95. And then also, again, joining us today is Vaughn Moore. How are we doing today, boys? Vaughn, how are you doing today, man? You look like you're excited.
I'm super excited because I have so much confidence in so many picks this weekend. Like, I'm so confident I'm making money. Like, can't wait to talk about it.
We love it. It's like, you know, NFL betting season is like the Christmas that just keeps on giving. It's all season long, week after week after week. It's the Hanukkah of sorts. V, how are you doing today? I'm excited to get this started. You got some winners for us today?
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna do a little better than we did last week. I promise. We're gonna hit some picks this week. It should be a good one.
Right.
And speaking of, after 1 week of action, we do have some numbers, and unfortunately, we didn't win any entries outright. But what we did do is, because of Underdog's new PickEm insurance, we actually did manage to hit a couple of the cards. Myself, I hit one there. So did V. Otherwise, you know, we're looking for a rebound this week. And again, we're definitely hitting the PickEm insurance again. And for anybody that doesn't know or doesn't play the Underdog PickEm insurance is a great new way to hedge your entry. When you turn on insurance with your PickEm entry, your potential payouts will be reduced a little bit. But if you miss one of your picks, you can still win money. So that's where we're at. So technically, we are still positive on the week, V. But, I mean, we want to hit the big one. So we're going to go big here. You got something for me, Vaughn?
Yeah. So last week, you know, did not do well on Sunday, as many of us did. But Monday, my pick of the week, which was Seattle money line and the under, I parlayed both of them. And thank God they didn't go for it. And the coach screwed up, and Russell Wilson didn't call a timeout.
What a way to start the show. Unbelievable.
Vaughn, right?
Good job, Vaughn.
This is my show. Vaughn, this is my show. I will not take this disrespect on my own show. How dare you? But as we did talk about, and we'll definitely get into on the show tomorrow night. And if you guys haven't tuned in, definitely check it out. Locked In Friday nights. Vaughn's actually going to be joining us this week too to break down last week's action, this week's action, and what we got in store. And so we'll definitely break down more of that to come. But to start us off, we've got our picks for the Underdog PickEm, and we're going to start off with Vaughn's entry this week. I think we started off with V last week. So Vaughn, run us through your picks. Who you got on the book? I know you said you were excited. You got a lot of winners here for us. So what do you got?
Yeah, so I'm taking the first one I'll touch on. I'm taking Christian McCaffrey higher than 42.5 receiving yards. So I think one of the reasons the Titans lost last week to the Giants was because they were unable to expose the Giants' mediocre linebackers in the pass game. Two ways typically in which NFL offenses do this is by using a pass-catching running back out of the backfield and tight ends over the middle. And they don't have the tight ends, and Derrick Henry's not much of a receiving threat. You know, the Panthers don't have a tight end, but what they do have is the quintessential pass-catching running back in Christian McCaffrey. And look, I follow the NFL very closely. I don't recognize a single linebacker on the Giants depth chart. And you know, going back to the Panthers offense, especially with Baker's clumsy interceptions last week, I expect lots of screens and dump offs to McCaffrey out of the backfield to clear this number pretty easily. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to get that many rushing yards just because I think the Giants have a pretty big D line. They got Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams in the middle. I think that might be a problem, but I think they're going to throw him a lot of passes. So that's why I just chose the receiving yards total. My second one, I chose Mike Evans lower than 14.75 fantasy points. This is my favorite one out of the three. I would bet this number as soon as possible because Evans is reportedly dealing with a nagging calf injury. So he might be ruled out soon, even though, they said it was minor, but he's been out of practice. So we'll see what happens. But even if he plays, he's not going to be 100%, and he's going to have to deal with Marshawn Lattimore. And if you know anything about the history of these two teams, Lattimore has been his kryptonite over the years. Just look at some of the games against him. One catch for 14 yards in Week 16 last year, 4 catches for 48 yards in Week 8 last year, 1 catch for 3 yards in the playoff game, and 1 catch for 2 yards in New Orleans in 2020. So, and then the most out of the rest of the games, the most receiving yards he's had against the Saints the past 5 years has been 65 since Lattimore came to the Saints. So, there's that, and also their O-line is completely beleaguered, Tampa's O-line. Both of their tackles are on the injury report, and they already had a questionable interior. On top of all of that, Tom Brady, I saw a V's pick with Tom Brady. Tom Brady also notoriously struggles against the Saints, so this is definitely my lock for the week. For my third one, I'm taking Tua higher than 0.5 interceptions. I've never been a big believer in Tua. His deep ball accuracy is very shaky because he has a weak arm by NFL standards. He'll have to keep up with Lamar and the Ravens offense on the scoreboard, so he's going to have to push the envelope at some point. Unfortunately for him, the Ravens have some ball hawks in the secondary who are probably salivating at the idea of Tua throwing deep passes in their direction. So those are my three.
And I actually have to do some corrections there. So on your graphic, Vaughn, I actually mess up here. So for all the people watching it at home, it's actually lower 14.75 fantasy points on Mike Evans for Vaughn's pick, and it's higher than an interception. I actually made the graphics for the first time this week, so bear with me. The graphics will get better, but so that's a little typo on our graphic. But just so the people know at home,
Problem.
under for Evans, over the interception for Tua. Correct?
Right.
Okay, perfect. So just wanted to get that. And then, of course, on to the next one. Vishaal, run us through your card. Who are you picking this week?
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities with Vaughn. I think he mentioned that already. I'm going to start with DJ Moore, who I'm taking higher than 57.5 receiving yards. The Giants defense was not very good last week. I know they only gave up 20 points, but I think that was a lot to do with just not a good job by the Titans offense. I think there was a lot of mismatches there and a lot more opportunity for the Titans offense to go off. And they did have 5th round rookie Kyle Phillips have higher than 60 yards against this Giants defense. If he can do that, then there's no reason DJ Moore should not have a monster game in this one. 57.5 feels extremely low. I think he had a low production in week 1, but that was against a much better Browns defense. I think this is going to be a shootout. I like the over in this game in general, but I definitely like higher than 57.5 receiving yards. I think DJ Moore is going to be heavily involved in this one against a poor Giants defense. And then I'm also going to take Tom Brady lower than 276.5 passing yards. Vaughn already mentioned all the struggles that Mike Evans has had. Tom Brady has had just as much struggles against this Saints defense. In the 5 games since he joined Tampa Bay that he's played the Saints, he's only gone higher than 275 passing yards once. And in fact, he's only gone higher than 240 passing yards once. So this number is extremely high. I'm not sure why it's set all the way at 276.5. And then Vaughn mentioned the injuries to the offensive line. There's also plenty of injuries to the wide receivers. Godwin's very unlikely to play. Evans is dealing with his injury. I'm just not seeing where Brady is going to hit this number. It seems extremely high. I would take lower, like on all the numbers in this game. I think we'll talk about it tomorrow, but I love the under in this game. Just way too many points, way too many stats, it seems like, in some of these predictions. And then I'm going to finish off with Carson Wentz higher than 250.5 total yards. I was very surprised to see that this was total yards and not just passing yards. He's going up against a Detroit defense that is not very good. They have nothing in the secondary that frightens you at all. They allowed Jalen Hurts to pass for 243 passing yards last week, and that was with the Eagles running more than they passed the ball. The Commanders are a much more pass-heavy team, so this should be very easy for Wentz to not only hit higher than the total yards, 250.5, but I think he can get that with just the passing yards. Throw in an extra 10 to 15 rushing yards, and this feels like a lock to me.
Yeah. 250, that is low. And you know what's funny is actually I was just thinking about it. Just like the Cowboys never make any sense with how they bet, it's the same thing with Tom Brady. Like I think America just pushes up those lines, and I think they set those oddsmakers set those lines so because they know they can get it.
It's short-term memory, honestly. I feel like people are not learning from the betting mistakes they made the year before. You see with a lot of these, so-called experts online when they're giving their predictions or their reasoning, they kind of throw out these trends or these reasonings, but it's like we just kind of proved this wrong last year and the year before and the year before that. I mean, people just don't seem to learn from what happened in the past.
Well, the issue there, V, is that a broken clock is right twice a day.
This one's never been right though. When this has been right like once, like
this clock
once every three.
This clock is missing
years
its
or
damn
something.
hands. This clock has no hands on it. So, and then the last pick of the litter here for myself. We've actually all hit this Giants Carolina game. I think this might be a game that we talk a little bit about tomorrow. So definitely make sure you tune in for that. For starters, I have Saquon Barkley higher than 76.5 rushing yards. So the thing about Barkley is that he's back, baby. After a long offseason of promises out of New York, Barkley made good on his week one. He had 164 yards rushing, 9.1 yards per carry. He finally had some space to work and some space to breathe. This week, the Giants host the Panthers. Carolina allowed 187 yards on the ground, a 41.8 team PFF defense rush defense grade. That's the second worst in the NFL through week one for both of those statistics. And that wasn't just spread out production over everybody. Nick Chubb himself had 141 yards with 3 rushes of over 15 yards. So backs didn't just gash them. They gave up chunks of yards all day long to everybody, and Chubb took huge advantage of it. And I see Barkley doing it too. I see it a little bit differently. I think that the Giants can maybe get out to a little bit of a lead here and hold on to it. It's going to be a little bit back and forth. We'll see how it runs, but I'm interested to see this one. And I think that Barkley's back, and I want to see him continue to produce. Maybe that's wishful thinking for my fantasy teams, but I mean, that's still to be seen. For the second player I have here, we have Devin Duvernay higher than 30.5 receiving yards. So I was a little bit confused when I saw this line because Devin Duvernay's line is so much lower than Bateman and Andrews' line. And I don't see it because it's kind of an even workload when you see there or when you look at the Ravens offense. And if you relate to the Devin Duvernay hype train in fantasy, I have bad news. You probably already missed the bus there. But the good news is you can still take him elsewhere, like right here, right now. And while all the attention goes to Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman, Duvernay might quietly have the best season out of the bunch. In week one, he caught all 4 of his targets for 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like I said, the production is kind of spread evenly out a little bit, but it's a major plus for a guy like Duvernay who profiles as the third guy in that hierarchy. So if he's evening out in looks, like, is he really the third guy? He might end up being the top guy in this offense. I know we all want to think about how Mark Andrews produced and how it's Rashad Bateman's season, but maybe Devin Duvernay is the guy in this offense. And if you read our NFL versus piece this week, you already know I think the Dolphins will try to get crafty on D again. If you remember last year, they ran cover 0 35 times. It put Lamar Jackson in a blender. But what it does do is when teams run that type of defense, it gives your receivers opportunities to beat one-on-ones in coverage. And I'm hoping that Lamar learned a little bit and he can execute and take advantage of that. Because if you can't, then maybe he shouldn't be talking about this big ass contract that he wants. The last player I have of the group is actually AJ Dillon, higher than 71.5 rushing and receiving yards. And if I told you back in week 1 that AJ Dillon would be the lead back and receiver for Green Bay, would you have really believed me? Probably not. I mean, I wouldn't have, but alas, here we are. And AJ Dillon is poised to take control of this backfield. He gets the work in short yardage, in the receiving game, on first and second down all the time. He's always involved. He finished week 1 with 91 total yards in a game that got away from Green Bay early, which limited the rushing opportunities. I don't see that being a problem this week as they play the Bears, who profile as the league's worst rushing defense after week 1. We were just talking about the PFF run grade stats, and the Bears actually graded out as a team with a paltry 30.0 run defense grade. That is atrocious. That's one of the worst I've ever seen. I know that it doesn't look horrible in the box score, but if you go snap on the tape, it's a completely different story. They're lost. They're over pursuing. They're not filling gaps. It's a complete mess. It should have been much worse than it was on the ground last week. And there should be way more opportunities for Dillon on the ground to get a large chunk of this workload. So I am extremely interested in that line. And now it's the time of the night, boys. Now we're going to build our combo entry, our little parlay together here. Let's see. We started with Vaughn. So, V, who is your lock of the week this week?
I'm going to go ahead and lock up Carson Wentz higher than 250.5 total yards. Again, I think the fact that it's total yards and not passing yards just makes this too good of a pick to pass up. I think he'll get there easily with just the passing, but we get a little insurance of the rushing ability.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely a good one, especially at such a low number. That's, I mean, clearly reachable for him if he can produce the way that he's kind of showed throughout week 1. So we'll see. Vaughn, I know you already did kind of allude to it previously with your Mike Evans pick. Is that the one you're sticking with? Are you still liking that one?
So, no, actually.
Okay.
I've changed my mind after talking about the Tua higher than 0.5 interceptions. I talked myself into it. That's going to be my lock. I don't think Tua can push the ball down the field. And I look at the Ravens secondary, Marcus Williams and Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. They just have too many ballers in the secondary. And I don't think that Tua is going to be able to. He's going to throw a deep ball, and it's going to be an ugly duckling, and then one of those guys are going to snatch it. I know it at some point. This is definitely my lock for sure, because I could see Evans like having 2 catches and then like both of them being touchdowns. But
something similar to the playoff game against the Rams last year.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, something like that. I could see like maybe a fluky touchdown in garbage time or something. So I'm going to go with the Tua higher than 0.5 interceptions.
All right. So there we go. So we have Carson Wentz over 250 total yards. We have Tua over an interception. And then for me, guys, I think I'm going to go into, I'm on the fence here. Maybe you guys will help me figure this one out. I really love the Saquon Barkley line because I'm big on Saquon being back. And I think at 76.5 yards, it's a high number in a vacuum, but I think that it's low enough that he should get a ton of work. But then Devin Duvernay at 30.5 yards, that's such a low line that how does that not scream value? So I'm going to ask each of you guys, which one are you feeling on that? Which one are you co-signing on the card this week?
So I don't love either of them.
Vaughn, you're never coming back on my show again. Ever. Not once. Never coming back. No,
they're not bad.
Like
they're not like egregious. Like they're pretty good. Like I wouldn't bet them, but if I had to choose, I would definitely go with the Barkley one. Just because Duvernay, I mean, you have no idea. He could have 0 catches on Sunday. Like with the Ravens passing game, it's very unpredictable. And the Dolphins have really good corners anyway. I don't know if Howard and Jones are playing, but if they are, I mean, Howard I expect them to be to play to run the ball a lot. And I think Duvernay's a little risky. even at 30.5.
Understandable. Marking Vaughn to never come on my show again. No. So who do you think, V? Are you co-signing Barkley then? Are we locking it in?
Yeah, I would definitely lean towards Barkley out of those two, but I actually really like the A.J. Dillon one higher on his number for the total yards. I agree that the Bears' rush defense is not good last week. They were getting beat a lot by Elijah Mitchell. I think once he went down, it kind of changed a lot of things. Jeff Wilson was not nearly as effective. I think if Mitchell was there for the full game, the box score would have reflected how poorly the Bears' run defense was. And like you said, when you get the receiving yards in there as well, I really like that one. That would probably be my pick of the three. But if we're just talking about Barkley and Duvernay, I would lean towards Barkley.
See, this is why you talk to more people, guys. Never go with just one source. You always shop around, which is what I just did right here. And I actually agree with it, V. I think I'm actually good. I'm going to go a completely different direction than I was going. I like A.J. Dillon too. I was just scared to speak my own truth, and you encouraged me to do that. So we're going to go with A.J. Dillon as our last pick there, higher than 71.5 rushing and receiving yards. And that's our ticket for the week. Again, we are definitely hitting the PickEm insurance. And anybody that doesn't know, PickEm is a great way to hedge your entry. If you turn insurance on, your payout is a little bit reduced. But if you miss one of the picks, you can still win money. So we love that. Hey, it's going to be another great week, boys. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Again, everybody check back in with us tomorrow for Locked In at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be good. We're going to go through all the picks. It's going to be a lot of fun. V, any parting words for the people at home?
Nope. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And yeah, let's talk about a bunch of these great games we got upcoming in week 2.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Vaughn, any parting words?
So I'm even more excited for the show tomorrow. Definitely. I'm more excited for the
I'm not, Vaughn.
over-unders and picks for this weekend because I got a lot that I'm very, very confident
Vaughn,
about.
I am not excited.
Moratorium on Broncos talk for like the first 10 minutes.
I see the Cowboys Bengals game. It's only -7 with
Vaughn, save it. Don't give it to the people yet. For tomorrow, we want them to come tomorrow.
A little preview.
Vaughn is ruining my shows, and I'm never having him on again. No, I'm just kidding. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And until next time, everybody, keep it locked in. Where's my video?